Welcome, everybody, back for another Tuesday night live show, reaction show off of this weekend's college slate. I am Nate. It's good to have you guys with us again. I'm super excited. We have a lot to go over tonight. Hopefully, y'all can hear me just fine. Got a new camera. I upgraded this weekend. It was a birthday weekend for me. My hair's all a mess. I don't care. Um, I'm ready to start talking some college football, and I'm gonna bring in our boy Scott. Scott is back. Say hey, Scott. Welcome back, man. Scott had a long journey that he's gonna tell us all about right now. So let's just go get these introductions going.
Oh man. what a fun weekend to be at the game if you were a Michigan fan. I can tell you that.
Oh
No,
man.
all in all, what an experience! Once in a lifetime opportunity to go experience the game in person. 2 versus 3 is close to the top as you're going to be able to find these two teams. So I think that it was a blessing to be there. Unfortunately, it didn't come out the way that I wanted it to, but for 3 quarters, it was a hell of a game to watch. So, I mean, at the end of the day, you can't give up 5 plays of 75 yards and expect to win a football game. So,
I mean, sometimes you can. Just depends on who you're playing.
yeah.
But it still looked fun from my point of view from the couch. I watched. I literally was flipping back and forth from game day and Fox Station or the Big Noon kickoff.
Mhm.
I personally think Big Noon kickoff was way better.
Yeah.
Um, it might be just because they're Big Ten affiliated with Fox,
Mhm.
but they had the players there. They had Urban Meyer there. It just seemed like it was fun.
Yeah.
Um,
Being in the stadium.
they went to the stadium. That was cool. They kept. I feel like they did honestly, a better breakdown. So I felt like I was there at the surround sound up. I was like, my friends are there. This is fun. I'm trying to be here in my heart and
Mhm.
soul. But man, it was fun, and we had a lot of games in the beginning 12 o'clock slate that were
Mhm.
really good. And we're going to talk about those um, as we segue into our game plan. So, our game plan is presented by StreamYard because it's what we use this thing for, and they might as well be like a sponsorship, even though they're not. Let me throw our game plan up today. We're going to talk about, let's see, here it is. Our game plan, sponsored to you by StreamYard. Thank you, StreamYard, for allowing us to stream our amazing live broadcast through all of our platforms and our Instagram and all that. I'm actually going to go live on Instagram right now in a second. But we're going to talk about the playoff poll and our reactions based off of what just happened. Everyone's talking about it, 1 through 25. Um, and is it right? Is it not right? So we're gonna have our reactions to that. We're gonna have our weekend recap. We're gonna talk about all the major games that led to this week's polls and where they're at. Then we have our face off where Scott and I are going to debate on a few certain questions that were provided by our friend Christian Martin. Shout out Christian Martin if you're watching. Thank you for providing some really cool, great questions for us. And then we have our attaboys. Once these are our guys, these are our coaches, our players, that had a phenomenal weekend, and we don't want to not tip our hat to those guys at big schools and small schools. We want to give them the love that they deserve. And then we have championship weekend. This is a Saturday slate that is full of good championship games. I don't know about you, Scott, but I'm super excited to watch these as a fan. I'm pretty sure you're not excited to watch the Purdue Michigan game. That's if I'm rating them, that's probably like number 9 on the list of 10.
Toledo OU will be a better game than
I
that.
was I was gonna mention that we're gonna talk about that one because that's gonna be a sneaky good game, honestly.
Yep.
Just based off of how Maction unfolds.
Yes.
But yeah, let's go. Let's dive in. Let's dive into
The
our
poll.
playoff poll. I'm gonna go ahead and Scott, let's break it down. If you wanted to go, let's do 10 to 1. So you have it for us.
Yes, I do. I have at 10, I have Kansas State from the college football playoff rankings. We have Kansas State at 10, Clemson at 9. That is one that we need to debate on. Penn State at 8, Tennessee at 7, Alabama at 6, and Ohio State at 5. We want to do the 10 to 5 before we go 1 to 4. I think the biggest toss up that everyone was really looking into right here was where the love fest for the college football committee would be with Ohio State and Alabama. As you know, the college football committee is in love with both of these teams, and we know that they want to set up someone to be in the playoff, depending on what happens in the Pac-12 title game, since Utah has beaten USC this year. So we needed to see like where the committee stood on Ohio State and Alabama, and they clearly decided that they wanted to give Ohio State one loss against Michigan better respect than the 2 losses of Alabama being from LSU and Tennessee.
Yeah. Like I want to speak on this bias of Bama and Clemson, right? Both of them are sitting at 2 losses. One's in a championship game, one's not, just because one's in a better conference than the other. I think it has to do with the love. I think the love is both teams have brought in, since the inception of this playoff, have brought the committee and the playoff people a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
And not even, I don't know them, but at least how it's structured, how much money has Clemson and Alabama brought in to the networks and the bowls and all those guys, because they know those teams will travel. They know those plans will show up and they'll spend a lot of money. So I don't know if it's a bias based off of, hey, let's keep them excited and tuned in. We know the ratings are there with Mr. Consistency over time, compared to let's just see what they're doing on the field. I do not agree. Clemson should not be at number 9, right?
Yep.
Or number 9. They have looked like a half, like, you know, that like a bar of soap that you have in your shower that's always been there, and it's consistent, it's there, but like you've been using like your new like loofah and your shower gel and all that stuff, and you pick that bar of soap up, and just because the gel's over and you need that bar of soap, and it just shrivels.
Yep.
And you just have to just take a dirty shower with it. Like, you're just like, that's Clemson to me when it comes to this year's college football. They've skated by all year long. Yes, they beat the teams they're supposed to beat in the beginning of the year. The Wake Forests, the NC State, the Syracuse, the Florida State. They beat those teams because they could sit on those teams with their rosters. They have 5 stars, 4 stars. They got dudes all up in that locker room. Of course they can beat them. They also played every one of those games at home.
Yep.
It was perfect for them. And then they went to Notre Dame. And we saw Notre Dame get its teeth kicked in by Marshall. The same Notre Dame team that lost to Stanford. This ain't no David Shaw year 1 and year 2 Stanford. This is David Shaw just resigned because I'm tired of this coaching these nerds, Stanford. Lost to them at home, this Notre Dame team, and then they got beat by Notre Dame at home, and then turn around and get beat by South Carolina in a home game.
They were up 30-10.
30-10. I get South Carolina beat Tennessee last week, and I give my shirt off my back to them. Congratulations. You had a great game plan. A blind squirrel finds its acorn. But I did not. Watching that game was frustrating for me because Clemson gave the ball to South Carolina multiple times with a short field in the second half.
Mm.
Like they ran trick plays, which they didn't need to run. They fell into the Beamer ball trap. Like, what are you doing?
Yep.
Like, I'm just like, ugh, I'm so mad that Clemson is still in the top 10. Like, they need to be like gone, get out of here. And the reason why they're in the top 10 is because they want them in the Orange Bowl for ratings.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about money, but I don't think they should be in the top 10. I feel like a team like FSU, who's what, at 12 or 11 right now or something like that, they should be in the number 9 because of how they played. They've played lights out for the last. They've like gone on a 7-game winning streak or something like that.
Yeah.
It's not fair. So here I am. That's my opinion. Who's number 10?
Kansas State and Utah are both 9-3 above 10-2 Washington. So, you know, you have a good argument, but Kansas State obviously goes up a decent amount with a win over TCU this coming weekend.
Yeah, I feel like
might be knocked out of the top 10.
Kansas State's a good team. It's a good team. They're getting healthy. They got their team they're getting their team back and everything like that. So I'm a big Kansas State believer pulling off. I can't believe they can pull off the upset because TCU just doesn't blow people out.
Yep.
And they played Kansas State to a really good game, and it was at TCU, and TCU knocked out Kansas State's quarterback.
Yep.
And Kansas State still went to overtime with them.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people aren't thinking about that, but hey, it's a possibility this weekend. So Tennessee is at who's number 8?
8 is Penn State.
Just sneaky. They've been good. Since they played up Ohio State, they put in the new guy at quarterback, and they're just a solid team. They've literally went from like 19 and just worked their way every week. And they're like at Florida State. There's a lot of people that might not want to play them right now. But unfortunately, they lost early this year to a Michigan and Ohio State, and those are the teams they couldn't afford to lose to this year on their resume. If Auburn would have been better this year, that Auburn win would have been nice for them, but it just wasn't in their cards this year. But I tip my hat off to Coach Franklin for getting them in the top 10 this year. They're going to get another New Year's 6 bowl game. Great representation for the Big Ten. Great. So you got Penn State, Michigan, and Ohio State all going to be New Year's 6 teams.
Yep.
So that's good for the league, man.
And we have reinforcements on the way to Wisconsin.
Yes.
Yes, we can get it. We'll get into that a little bit later.
Yes, we will. I think they have a brilliant hire on their hands.
Yep. So, I think after the top 10, UGA, Michigan, TCU, USC, rounding out the top 10. Don't think that there's really much debate here. Some people said that Michigan could go up above Georgia because of the way that they beat Ohio State, but Georgia ended up struggling to start against Tech, but then handled them mightily. So I didn't think that Georgia was going to draw.
Yeah. So this was your typical Georgia's playing with their food again. They've been doing it all year. So
just bored until the playoffs.
Bored until the playoffs. It's a rivalry game. I get it. Hey, it's your rival. Do what you got to do.
Yeah.
But
took care of them in the second half.
They took care of them in the second half, as they should, because it's Georgia.
Yep.
I personally think Georgia has not put enough on paper and in video. And yes, they play great at home. Who doesn't play great at home this year?
Yep.
Except for Ohio State. But we'll get into that. It seems like everybody all year long has played at home. Home field advantage has been so big this year.
Mm-hmm.
It's been insanely big. Georgia, there's three road games that they played away in SEC: Mississippi State, Kentucky, and then Missouri. All boring. Kentucky, 16-6. That was their final.
Mm-hmm.
You don't show me anything right there. Kentucky's a 6-6 team this year. Missouri didn't even make a bowl game this year. Oh, they did. They went 6-6. Excuse me.
Right? Yeah, they struggled in that game a lot.
Struggled in those games.
That was the game that they almost lost.
Yeah.
And then they took care of Mississippi State.
And then Mississippi State game was close until they just sat on them.
Yep.
But like they have not on the road, they've not impressed me at all. And so, yeah, they look like the Monstars when they play at home, dude. Why at 90,000 people? Yeah, it's my house. I'm gonna do what I need to do. And Kirby Smart's done a good job of coaching those players and do what they're good at. But once you take away their tight ends, they're not running it. Their running game's not as amazing as everyone think it is.
Yep.
Teams Florida, their second quarter to the third quarter had a phenomenal way. They literally was a blueprint on how to beat Georgia. So I don't think they're number one. I think Michigan should be number one based off of what I just saw last week and what I rewatched again. Because I was like, you emotionally get it. You're like, oh wow, what a game! But I just feel like Michigan has they can go toe to toe on the line. They can go toe to toe defensively with Georgia, and Michigan showed me they can have explosive plays. They got weapons. That Donovan Johnson Edwards kid's fast as lightning.
Yep.
And they got wide receivers, and the fact that JJ McCarthy can actually get out of situations with his feet.
Yep.
That's a big thing. That's huge. So I just felt like you beat your rival on the road by 20. That shows me that you're legit, because Georgia didn't beat anybody on the road by 20.
Yep.
All year. That's just my opinion. Number 2, Georgia, Michigan. 3, TCU. Same old like last week. They've been consistent. They beat the teams they needed to beat. They played Texas at Texas. That's never easy. Beat them. Number 4, this is where the debate is. Should Ohio State be at 4? Should USC be at 4? I'm going to let you take the reins on that one.
Ohio State should not belong at 4. The Alabama fans might even have a little bit of a argument that they should be at 5 instead of them. Ohio State was god awful. They got trounced. They gave up big explosive plays. They lost by 22 points, and JJ McCarthy threw 50% of his passes to wide receivers. Like, there's no excuse for that. It's just nothing, like you said. The explosive plays, like, you can't give those up. And you didn't make any explosive plays yourself. I think that we took one shot at the end zone of like over 30 yards, and it was the touchdown pass to Marvin Harrison Jr. And other than that, it was just like we tried this dink and dunk stuff, and we tried running on them. And I thought Ohio State ran the ball pretty well on Michigan for having struggled in the run game a lot this year against teams. They couldn't really get it going, but they didn't even use obviously Travion Henderson was hurt, but they had 29 carries for 150 yards. Like we just couldn't string anything together. And geez, it's just absolutely embarrassing what was on the field. If you just look at that second half, 3 points. I mean, this game Ohio State led at halftime 20-17. You feel good about it. You even feel good in the third quarter when you're down 23-20 going to the fourth quarter. Like, you're like, okay, like we've been stopping them on defense. Like, I think they had like 82 yards rushing going into the fourth quarter, and then just the floodgates was open,
wide open. Yeah, it was 8 yards. Y'all gave up 8 yards at half on the ground, which that was the game plan. Stop the run. Well, of course, as a coordinator, the next thing you got to do is expect them to start hitting those play actions.
Yep.
And it just, watching it made no sense. You're just sitting there going, okay, as a coordinator, you have to plan ahead to what your opponent's going to do. It's a chess match.
Yep.
right? What's their going thing they're going to do? Or they're going to hit us with a deep pass.
Yep.
All right. You can't just
Or
you can't keep bringing 7 every time.
yeah, and you're running 0 blitzes on 3rd and 9, and they're running outside sticks, and
Yeah.
your corner just whiffs like with no help behind him. Like he
Yeah,
should
I'm
know
with
that
you.
there's no help behind him, and he's going to the sideline. Like just go to the sideline. As you have help, if he comes back towards the middle of the field, like you're gonna have that safety over the top coming over, and those D linemen that are backing out of the pass, they're in pursuit as well. But you just let them go to the sideline and take it upfield because you are bad at tackling.
Yep.
Just really bad fundamentals overall on defense that whole game. So kind of frustrating. I mean, that's kind of can transition us into the weekend recap because that's about it. That recaps the Buckeyes.
The Buckeyes. I mean, we'll get into more of that.
They just didn't want it.
Yep.
Bring up that graphic if you want. For I know my buddy Addison is just living for this meltdown right now about
having fun with it.
How bad these Ohio State defenders were. A bunch of losers.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know. It's too much confidence going in the game. Not enough getting kicked in your mouth this year to show you
not enough adversity. No close games. Like even the Michigan, the Notre Dame game to start the year, down at halftime, like a little bit of adversity at home, showed poised to come back, but clearly not a good offensive team at that time. Notre Dame, Penn State, there's times where that game looked like it could be swinging the other way, and they came back, but just not enough emphasis on being able to do it against Michigan. Just really sad.
Yeah, I would say I think the adversity thing is a big factor, especially if you go a full season without really being tested.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were tested at Penn State, and you showed a great fourth quarter. But what else, right? Kind of chalk up the Notre Dame game. Kind of throw that one out the window. It was week 1. Everybody looked sloppy.
Yeah.
But with Michigan, I guess because they didn't open up their offense until this weekend, there was no they showed a lot of adversity because they had to. Mm-hmm. They had to lean on their defense. They had to lean on their special teams to do a great job to keep them in the games because they're playing with this dual quarterback thing halfway through the season. And then last week, I'm the captain of the Pee-wee. Last week when they played Illinois, that was honestly Illinois. Besides the other team Ohio State, Michigan, and Penn State, they're the only other team that's going to slap you in the face.
Yep.
They play just hard-nosed, typical Big Ten football, and they got that game and got that all right, we can win these games. We can win these things. Let's just that was a huge confidence builder going into this game. So I think that game, 1, padded their resume, and 2, got them super confident going into this Ohio State game because they've been battle tested. They have the scars to prove it. That's why I feel like Michigan played Hawaii at the beginning of the year. It just seems like you need to play better opponents. Tennessee played Pitt, and that was a good game. And that honestly, if they didn't play Pitt, that would have never gotten them ready for the Florida game. Yeah. Anyways, that's our poll reaction. If you guys are just hopping on the live stream, we literally just went down the top 10 poll, the top 10, pretty much in nutshells. Clemson shouldn't be number 9. They shouldn't even be sniffing the top 10 based off of their year. Ohio State, we agree, they are at 5 for a reason. And USC has looked really good all year long. And their only loss was a 1-point loss to Utah at Utah. And they are where they need to be. And they're a big-time team, big money team. So have they been tested? They didn't play Oregon this year.
It's very true.
They played Washington, I believe. I don't know if they played Washington. We can bring that up.
Yeah, we'd have to bring that up. Hey, but on the flip side for next year, Nate, Ohio State's out of conference schedule. Youngstown State,
Ooh.
Western Kentucky, and Notre Dame. So, like, hey, teams that contest your.
I would be buying out of the Youngstown State game and getting another MAC game or something because they're FCS school.
Yeah, well, I mean, isn't that where Jim Tressel is? I don't think that'll.
Yeah, Jim Tressel is there.
Yeah, he's the AD there or something.
Yeah, I'd pick up like an American team, American Conference team.
Pick up USF.
Yeah, USF. That'll be fun.
With Dion.
With Dion going there, right? Okay, all right. Weekend recap. So we are going to go into weekend recap. All right, transitioning over to our first game. We already talked about it. Explosiveness.
Addison, take your picture.
Take your picture, Addison.
I'll pose for it. Ready? Hold on.
Is he in the chat?
Yeah. He said that he's in the chat.
Okay. Yeah, the chat that we're in is super delayed, so you're gonna have to get the chat that's live.
Yeah. He sent me a screenshot that he was in our chat. So if Addison, if you are watching, please acknowledge in either the YouTube chat or Facebook chat that you got your screenshot and that you are living for it.
Yeah, this could be your background or cover photo for the next year. I put these out. Let me go ahead and one second. Trying to pull up on our end the live feed. Sorry, we got comments on there. All right.
Yeah, I can see it on my side. I can see the if they come from Facebook or YouTube, the comments. So
okay. Yeah, because the last couple weeks it's been delayed on here on ours, and then I'll have to use my tablet and try to use the other one. But okay, so all right. Sorry, technical difficulties trying to figure things out. This is why there's a third person. There's always that one person in the back, that third background person who always who runs the music and the live chat and all that stuff. So, Michigan 45, Ohio State 23. The score got run up at the end. Those two 85-yard and 75-yard runs were unnecessary. Ohio State quit. I believe they looked like they quit. Yeah,
they did.
It goes down. If you break it down, I did a breakdown on our pod yesterday. There was a 15-play drive that was 12 minutes in the third quarter. And Michigan scored on that one. That point, that was the breaking point of that game.
Yep.
I believe Ohio State Michigan methodically drove down the field. It just little in 3 yards at a time, 5 yards at a time, 3, 4, 5, 10.
Couldn't get off the field on third down.
And they just kept busting you in the face, busting you in the mouth. And that right there broke the wall. That was broke the dam. And I just believe because Ohio State had a chance to come out after that offensively and get a good, go bam, 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 and it just didn't happen. They smothered them. And at that point, that's when that first one play, 85-yard happened, and that was it. That was all she wrote. You could honestly, I know you were there. Just the air, air came out of the ceiling. It was bad. It was bad at that point.
It was the drive that Michigan was up 31-20, and Ohio State went down 7 plays, 52 yards in 2 minutes, and they kicked a field goal.
Yes.
It was 4th and 4 from the Michigan 9, and when they didn't convert the third down and they lined up for the field goal, I called ball game. That's when I felt the game was over, because before that, Michigan missed a field goal. We got the ball like close to, it was Ohio State 40 that we got it. So we were really close to midfield. And then, we got the missed field goal and we just kicked the field goal ourselves, and we didn't get we didn't make it happen. Mm-hmm. So, and then touchdown, 75 yards, see ya. But the 15-play, 85-yard drive, 3rd and 1, couldn't get off the field. 3rd and 3, couldn't get off the field. 3rd and 10, couldn't get off the field. 3rd and goal was the touchdown rush. 3rd and 10 was a play that J.J. McCarthy went ahead and scrambled and then threw it through the back of the end zone for the receiver, and there was a flag for pass interference. The play was terrible by the defender. He saw him throw the ball up. It hung in the air for, it felt like 15 seconds if you were at the stadium. And the defender just runs over and pushes the guy out of bounds, like tries to like box him out. And it's like, dude, just go like jump up with your own hands and knock it down or catch it yourself. Like, don't just push him out of bounds. So
it was, I know it's frustrating to watch as a fan and as a person who watches defenses, in that moment, you don't want to ever see a defense quit at home.
Mm-hmm.
Like I play defense, morale is always a big thing. Defense is always about morale, right? Mm-hmm. Offense knows where they're going. Defense it's all about reaction, right? So you're always thinking and reacting. So when your emotion is involved, you don't want that ever involved.
Yep.
You never want your emotion involved when you're a defender. You just want to, your assignment, and you see the ball and you find the ball.
Yep.
You head hunt. That's what you're supposed to do. Do your job, head hunt. If you're emotional in that, that's a three-pronged thing. There's too many things going on right once in a human brain, especially in a football game, to do anything. So as soon as your leader, and I think that falls back on leadership,
mm-hmm.
like your senior leaders who got beat last year embarrassed at the big house.
Yep.
You would think you do all those push-ups, all those freaking early morning workouts, all those training things to quit.
Yep.
It made no sense to me.
Sad to see.
You think somebody in that locker room would have been like, F this, pick your shit up and let's go play some football.
Yep. And no one did it. And it's a lack of leadership, and they need to figure out next year because as we'll talk later, the seat might be getting a little hot. So.
Yeah. It starts from the top. At the end of the day, it's a cultural locker room thing, and it starts from the head honcho, and the assistants. Because your assistant coach is really your head coach.
Yep.
Right? So when my linebacker coach, who was my linebacker coach, but is also my D coordinator,
mm-hmm.
we took on his personality. We took on his character traits as for football players.
Yep.
He also played at Illinois as a guard. So during when Juice Williams was there,
mm-hmm.
When Illinois went to the Rose Bowl, he was a beast. He started as a freshman in the Big Ten. You're no pansy at Illinois if you start as a freshman. Dude was a monster. Shout out Coach Babcock, you're the best.
Mm-hmm.
But we took on his personality, man. We would just slobber knock people.
Yep.
Even if the game was out of the line, we're still gonna go out there and just gonna slobber knock.
Yeah, people. You just can't give up, and that's what happened.
I think that's, to me as a fan, that's worse than anything. Because I watched the Tennessee team give up after Hooker after he hurt his ACL. In good right, I get it. And there were some other locker room issues that we're not going to get into because I'd be on a rant and be 50 minutes and be talking. But they gave
I'm
up.
there.
You don't want to do that. I really, really hope Ohio State gets a chance. They have a chance if TCU or USC loses.
Mm-hmm.
Georgia is in, even if they lose to LSU, they're in.
I think TCU's in with the loss, so I think USC's the team that we need to lose. So I think TCU's in with the loss, just based on how bad we lost.
Yeah, I know why they have. I know that why they have strategically Michigan at 2 because they don't want to see an Ohio State Michigan rematch at 1-4.
Yep.
I don't want to see that.
No.
You don't want to see that. But I do want to see Ohio State play Michigan. I do want to see Ohio State play Georgia.
Yeah, that'd be
after getting a dose of reality
and
your teeth kicked in, because you got to think like. I know we're talking a lot. We're gone in the second game on our recap, but if it's crazy because if you get your teeth kicked in a dogfight against your rival, the team that you possibly could play if you're number 4 would be a team that's going to kick your teeth in.
Mm-hmm.
And both rosters have 5 stars. Both rosters have great linemen, great defense, skill players everywhere. I give Ohio State the advantage.
Mm-hmm.
Stop Georgia, and I can't. If this happens, I can't wait to break down the game.
Yeah,
like it's gonna be fun.
I would be really excited to see TCU play Michigan too. Like I think that would be a hell of a game too.
Yeah, they're both because TCU's scrappy.
Yep.
Like they might not have the depth in the trenches as Michigan does, but they're gonna scrap.
Yep.
They're gonna just fight all day. So, all right, let's move on.
Yeah, let's move on. Let's bust out a couple other ones because
we can talk hours.
This game.
This is a lot to break down.
Oh, there's so much.
All right, our next one, our Florida State game. If you're watching live on this, you see why are there symbols? I don't understand. If you're on live on Instagram, we have a few symbols above the teams. Florida, it's a broken house, but it looks like they're rebuilding it. It's a rebuild. This year, 6-6 for Florida State or Florida. In reality, that's what everybody thought they were going to be anyway, just because of how many players they lost in transfer portal. Fire Ryan Day. Someone on his
Fire Ryan Day. I haven't
Fire Ryan Day already. The Instagram live. I love it.
No, I'm not on that train yet, but I know that I've warmed up the seat. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's funny.
Please tell me who you want to hire, to replace him if you want to fire him.
Yeah,
that's what I want to know.
We'll get into that in a minute.
Yeah.
Right now, we're breaking down. We're doing our recap on Florida State. He fucking sucks. Fire him into the sun. I love it. Keep the comments coming. I love it. Cannot lose 2 in a row to tune.
I agree. The next segment coming up.
Hire Brian Hartline. Next segment coming up. We'll get into that one. Florida State, Florida. This game was from the. I don't know. You probably get a chance to watch it.
Oh yeah. We ended up getting to watch the second half of it. My brother's a huge Gators fan, so we found a bar with it on. Friday night, we were actually at the Christmas bar downtown Lakewood, so we were watching the first half on the phone, but then we were like, we got to get to a TV because the game was just electric. Like AR-15 came out firing. It was back and forth, and then that third quarter, just FSU defense just figured out something to stop AR. I think he ended up starting the second half 0 for 11 passing and didn't get it going until 6 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and it was just back and forth. And what's it called? FSU's quarterback,
Jordan Travis.
Yeah, Jordan Travis is just electric. He can make some plays with his feet.
Yep.
He's a little guy too. Like he
Not
don't look
big.
too.
Yeah.
He doesn't look too big. So like it was really sick to see him like maneuver, and FSU or UF just couldn't seal the edge on those FSU linemen. And as soon as he got outside, like he was able to make those plays. And I bet it was so frustrating as a UF fan to watch that.
Yeah, it was.
They had a chance. They had a real chance to win that game.
Like you can see from the beginning of that game, it was 14-14 in the first quarter. Then it was 24-21 going in the half, and then Mike Normal and his staff did a great job because in the second and third quarter they zeroed Florida. So kudos to them. Mike Norval, to me, if you could have like comeback team of the year, they're on it. I believe he's been preaching to the people in Tallahassee since he got there because they didn't go to a bowl game their first year and they went 5-7 last year. Mm-hmm. Like they haven't got a bowl game. So see you, man. Thanks for commenting on this, man. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, since the Clemson game, the fourth quarter of the Clemson game, because they almost won. They came back, and Jordan Travis and that offense just started clicking on all cylinders. They have enough talent to compete right now in the ACC. But you see someone fighting in a shark, they're aggressive. They play downhill on your toes defense, and that's how they've been beating the crap out of people this year. They've been playing just defense. Like they're so fast. If you can remember the best Florida State teams in the last 20 years, what stood out to me was always their defense and their linebackers.
So in the second half, when they started like zeroing in on AR, is that they would line up like they were playing cover 2. And then as soon as like the pre-snap read was made, they would go to single high, and the strong side safety would rotate down into the box.
Yeah.
And he was spying AR, and he couldn't run because there was a linebacker like that was on the backs that he was checking down to, and the safety was inside the box, like just ready to get on. It was so quick, and like you couldn't really tell like if they were going to drop that safety to spy or one of those linebackers was going to spy. So it was really, really well covered up by FSU's defense, and really aggravated the hell out of AR for that. So it was a really fun game to watch all the ways to the end because UF had a chance.
They did, and I was going to mention that. This is the key to the game for me was the aggressiveness. That's why they have the shark and the people fighting there. They stayed aggressive all the way to the end. So when they had some teams, a lot of teams this year in that position that they were in, it was what? Fourth? It was fourth. Yeah, it was 4th and 10 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of teams would have just brought 4 and played back in soft coverage and tackled. We're not stay at the 10-yard line, stay at 10 line and tackle, keep everything in front of you.
Yeah,
they didn't. They freaking bought a corner blitz.
Yeah,
I've watched so much football this year. I've watched so many coordinators coordinate. I've only seen 2 corner blitzes on gimme down, on turnover, on like those money downs.
Mm-hmm.
One was the Alabama game, Texas, where that corner missed. Bryce Young.
And missed,
That was a brilliant call. I honestly was the right call. He just did not come home because he didn't break down.
Yep.
Florida State game, dude broke down.
Yep.
And forced AR to get out of the pocket. And he couldn't do anything. I thought that was brilliant. That's why it was a coach's win. But it showed their aggressiveness. And I think Florida State's going to continue with this momentum. Jordan Travis, I hope he comes. I think he comes back on a COVID year. If he does, Florida State's going to be an early ACC champion. Early prediction on that one, and possibly a dark horse.
That might be a good wager to put in. Little FSU ACC.
I would. I'd put $10 down on him for sure. Just
I
how they're
bet.
playing. It's year 4, Coach Norvell's his regime. He's got his players. They're recruiting very well. They're getting athletes like they always have been. Florida State's one of those things where it's like they always have athletes and
Mhm.
just they just don't care. They're just gonna punch you in the mouth. That's what
Mhm.
Florida State of old with Bobby Bowden was, and then the Jimbo Fisher era as well. So it's good to see him getting back to that. I like that.
Yeah.
So
Jordan Travis is a junior, so
okay, that's good.
he does have eligibility to come back.
Oh,
Uh,
good. I see him coming back. I don't see him leaving, even if he gets a good grade for the draft. When they do their analysis where they ask for a grading,
yep.
I don't see him. I see him coming back. Um, yeah. AR, he's gone. Florida still has a big, huge kill decline. When
Mhm.
it comes to players, they got to get a lot of help in transfer portal this offseason. I like Billy Napier. I feel like he's a good coach.
Oh yeah, he'll be fine.
Yeah, I feel like they got the guy.
Yeah.
The East is just getting better.
Yep.
So they just got to get there. They got to close the gap quick. So
Yeah.
moving on, let's move on to the USC Notre Dame game.
Yes.
Did you get a chance to watch this one? I know you were at the bar.
Yeah. So I was there. I was able to watch the first half of this before driving back to Columbus. So I did see not a lot of offense by Notre Dame. I mean, obviously they
Not
came
really.
alive late, but too little, too late. 17-7 at half. But it felt like 21-7, 28-7 at half. Because it just felt like USC was moving the ball a lot. I think they got a break on like a fumble that Notre Dame recovered early.
Yeah.
They got so
So Jake commented actually a minute ago. Jake said, "I promise I'll be back on with you guys soon. Life has been crazy lately, but just know winter is here. P.S. Call me code name FPI killer from now on."
the
You got it. You
FBI
earned it,
killer.
brother.
Yeah, dude, he killed the FBI.
You did kill the FBI. I freaking love
The
that.
freaking power index.
He is the computer. I am the
Yeah.
computer.
Yeah.
Freaking
But yeah, this game score I feel looks a lot closer than it actually was. USC seemed pretty dominant all game for winning by 11.
Yeah, they started off strong 10-0, and they just kind of just
Fiddled around.
the whole time just kind of like we can score anytime we want to. It got close late, and that's when Caleb Williams really turned it on.
Yeah.
But that first half was kind of a snooze fest in my opinion. Notre
Mhm.
Dame really didn't do anything remarkable because they couldn't,
Yep.
and then they kind of just wanted US. It seemed like both coaching staffs were waiting on both teams to show what they were going to do.
hmm
And it seemed like both of them were just waiting to make adjustments at half. Hence, why you see a better second half of the game.
hmm
Caleb Williams, once again, he's doing some electric stuff. And you've seen athletic quarterbacks throw from different angles. We've seen them in college. We've seen Baker Mayfield in college. We've seen really, really good quarterbacks in college. But I've never seen a quarterback like him, especially not last week, but the previous week, where he was on the run, like a baseball run. You know, in baseball, when you're shortstop and you're coming in, when the ball's hit in the middle of the field, and you got to scoop it, and then wait because you're running, but then somehow you got to cock back and then throw it accurately, but on a heater. Because it's almost about to score, like almost about to get to first, because your momentum's going one way and the arm has to go the other way. He did that getting out of a sack in a third down, because normally, like, you throw it because you have to cock back, and it's not as fast. This dude threw it like a catcher, like in that moment, and he threw a freaking dime. And I'd never seen a quarterback do it that way. The ball normally lobs to the guy, but he threw a freaking heater with his momentum like going one way. I was like, that's a skill set you can't be taught. That's a skill set you can't learn. That's God given. So, and he's playing so good. He can see the field. Yes, he's got Lincoln Riley year 2, same system.
Yeah.
Good weapons around him, but it's good to see It's good to see college football on the West Coast again, because it's been just Midwest and East Coast for months, years.
Remember, they're coming over to the Big Ten, but they still are going to play in Southern California.
I know.
Kind of dumb.
Does that mean they get noon kickoffs at
USC? That'd be 9 a.m. That's rough. Can you imagine, like, Kirk Herbstreit? Like, God bless his schedule. That guy, unbelievable.
So much this year.
Yeah, he looks tired. Like on the Thursday calls, and Saturday night, he just looks tired.
He needs a nap.
Yeah.
Oh man, I got ugly duckling over here over Notre Dame. They eventually will be a pretty swan.
Yep.
But Marcus Freeman has a big, huge mountain to climb to get them where Brian Kelly had them. They're recruiting very well. They're top 10 class right now, 2023 class.
Okay, good.
On 3. So On 3's got them a top 10 class. USC is a top 10 class. So both of these programs are moving in the right direction. The question is USC going to hold that 4th position? We'll see.
Yeah, big game this weekend.
Their roster, their schedule has been good.
Utes.
Yep, the Pac-12 has been good this year. So you can't say their strength of schedule sucks. I know this is a perfect time to bring up their schedule because I know they didn't play Oregon, and I think they played Washington. That was it. If you can bring it up for me,
that sounds right. I remember. I remember talking about this before. Yeah. So they went Rice, Stanford, Fresno, Oregon State, Arizona State, Wazoo, lost to Utah, Arizona, Cal, Colorado, UCLA, Notre Dame.
Yeah. So they didn't even play Washington or Oregon.
Yeah. So
this, to me, their schedule, it's good, but it could be better.
Yeah.
What a year to miss Washington and Oregon.
Yeah, interesting. Kind of strange.
Yep. Which tells me they missed 2 teams that could possibly have beaten them on the road or at home, based off of because both teams are very physical. So they look physical too. I feel like Utah at a neutral site might out physical them again, like last year. It's the same game last year in the Pac-12 championship. So, all right, moving on. Our next one, Oregon State. This was a 10:30 kickoff.
Yeah, this is past my bedtime. I don't have much on this. We were driving home, so we ended up not seeing this. But, Bo-Nix doing Bo-Nix things, I guess, right? Getting outscored 21-3 in the 4th. So.
Yeah, it was this was so late. And it was Saturday was my birthday, so I just tried to stay up as much as I could to watch this one. But I knew I've watched a lot of Oregon State games this year. I've been catching them. They're 9-3, and no one's talked one thing about them all year. They're 9-3. They're sneaky good on defense. And it showed because if you look at the game, Oregon came out and scored in the third quarter. They put 17 up. So they were up in this game. They had 3 turnovers. Oregon State had 3 turnovers, and they still remained in this game. That tells you one thing. Their defense is tough as nails, and they have really good special teams. So Oregon continued to score, but you see Oregon State scored 21 points in the fourth quarter. Like that's
where the spilled coffee comes from.
So Oregon had it in their hands. They had that. They spilled it all over the place. 9-3, just like their rivals. 9-3. In this year alone, they lost to Washington in the previous week. They should have never lost to Washington. That is on them. They had that was a home game for them as well. You can't lose to Washington at a home game, especially when you're number 9 in the nation and everybody lost last week. Like they had a chance to do it, man. Christian Martin.
Yeah. Let's go Beavers.
Let's go Beavers. Yeah, man. Let's go Beavers.
Huge Beaver guy.
They're going to get a really good bowl game. I don't know anything about their depth chart and like their seniors and stuff, but if they get a lot of guys coming back, that's a huge momentum going in the offseason. Like they're going to play probably the Alamo Bowl or the Holiday Bowl or the Las Vegas Bowl.
Oregon State should, come a little south and get a good old, little partnership, little NIL deal with Buc-ee's. Yeah, the Buc-ee's.
They get a Buc-ee's deal. Yeah.
Yeah, look at that. Yep. Christian knows there. He's like, hey, walk in, give me that beaver,
Give us that beaver.
Beaver bowl that should douse the winning coach in beaver nuggets is what I'm saying.
Should have a bowl. The Beaver Bowl.
Yeah.
Lucky Bowl. That'd be awesome. Okay, all right. I have a cockroach under them because you just can't get rid of them. It's the best way to describe them this year. Okay, moving on to the next one. Our next game is South Carolina, Clemson. Did you watch this game? 3:00 game.
No,
you were at the game.
Yeah.
This game makes you like, as a fan of like SEC football, you sit there and you're like, how the hell is Beamer Ball doing this? Like it makes no bloody sense. But they're playing out of their mind right now. It was a tight game. Clemson had the lead. And then South Carolina just started playing trick plays. Kudos to Rattler. He threw 350 yards in this game. Their main wide receiver had 9 receptions, 140 yards. Like
that's fourth quarter.
They were getting dudes open.
That fourth quarter was 3-0.
Yeah, it was. All the scoring was done in the first 3 quarters, man.
So it was a defensive battle at the end. Jeez.
Yeah, South Carolina. See what happened was this. Clemson went out and took a lead, and it was 14-0. Then South Carolina had 2 back-to-back long drive, a long drive and a short drive. And the second score in the second quarter was because Clemson didn't. They went for it on their own 40. And they got stuffed.
Oh.
And so they gave momentum back to South Carolina, and with the short field, they scored before half to tie it.
Yeah.
And then South Carolina in the third quarter, Clemson had a fumble and a trick play that just did not work. And South Carolina, at that point in the third quarter, they started believing in themselves, that momentum, that morale. And their they started playing just lights out defense.
DJ Uyunglele was terrible.
He had 8. He had
the Coors Light special going on, 8 for 29. That's even a little bit better.
That's so bad. He was so bad in this game, and they didn't
29 for 8. Yeah,
they didn't take him out. So to me, this is more of a Clemson debacle than a Carolina win. But good for Carolina, the momentum going in off season for them. They're 8-4. I don't know who they're going to play in the bowl game. but it's going to probably be an Attack Slayer Bowl or the Music City Bowl. So it's going to be an ACC team or a Big Ten team. I think they'll match up well against a Big Ten team. So not necessarily an ACC team, because if it's an ACC team like, well, they just played North Carolina last year in the Duke Bowl, so I don't want to see that again. But like if it's North Carolina State or Wake Forest, that'd be fun.
Yeah, the Wake game would be really fun.
Yeah.
So, Wake's fun.
Absolutely. Play the game at Kyle Field. Yes, for the Buc-ee's Bowl. Candace comes in, South Carolina. I hate that they are so high on themselves right now. Clemson beat themselves. She would know. She watched it. See, so yes, this one was good. Kudos to Beamer. I can't be mad at him. You can't hate the guy.
Mm-hmm.
He's a good coach. He's a good guy. So I give them all the respect and love. I'm just kind of salty because they beat Tennessee. They took 2 teams out of the playoffs 2 weeks in a row. They hate orange, I guess. They hate this orange safety cone yellow, and they just so that's my on that one. Gamecocks are projected to the Gator Bowl, like I said, Tax Slayer Bowl, and to play an ACC team. So they might play the ACC 4th team, which will probably be Duke, who's 8-4, by the way. No one talked about them.
Yeah.
Or maybe Wake Forest. So we'll see. All right.
We talked about the Blue Bloods earlier this year.
Yeah, but Duke continued to win. No one talked about it, though.
Yeah.
I slipped under my radar. Like, they just kept winning, and that's a first-year coach. Like,
football school.
Football school, man. Well, they lost Coach K, so.
Yeah.
All right. So we are transitioning over to our next thing called the face-off. What's that? The face-off is going to be Scott and I talking about subjects provided by Christian Martin, the questions provided by Christian Martin. So thank you, Christian. And first things first. All right, face-off music. Let's see.
We had the face-off music there. Yeah.
Face-off music. Bum, bum, bum. All right. First question of the face-off. Who is the best fit head coach for Cincinnati job? All right. So if you're in the chat, let us know who wins this debate. So, dealer, I'm host. So Scott, you go first. Who's the best fit for the Cincinnati job? What coach? Who do you think best fit?
I'm going to go off of a tree that is familiar with Cincinnati. I would say go take a stab at Tom Herman.
Why? Why did you take mine?
Because great minds think alike.
Yes.
So there's people that want to hire Tom Herman at Ohio State. There's people that want to hire Brian Hartline at Ohio State to take over for Ryan Day right now. And I just am looking at it like, if Tom Herman, he was with, the tree that won us that natty in Ohio State, and Fickle was there as well as the defensive guy. I think he comes from a good pedigree. It didn't work out at Texas like he wanted to, but he had one at Houston. I think that it could be a place where he can step in with some talent. And he could be really a good fit in the Cincinnati program because his culture is very similar to like a Luke Fickle style. I think their coaching style is very similar, but the offense is, a little bit more upbeat than what Fickle is used to.
Sure. Well, you took mine. So now I have to come up with something on the fly. So you might take this round.
Let me go first.
I know. I didn't think you were Tom Herman. Oh, God. Let's see. I think for the Cincinnati job, a head coach. God. Oh, man. Honestly, for that one because Fickle did such a good job. It's just such a huge shoe to fill. And you need a guy who's not gonna let the program down. You need a guy to step in day one, good recruiter. You need a guy who's going to come in and run the same type offense for the American Conference. Is Cincinnati going to the Big Ten? No, they're not going to the Big Ten. They're staying there. So that American Conference, you're gonna need a coach who can compete at high levels. No, I'm not saying Kellen Moore Christian. No, he's a Boise guy.
Yeah.
Oh man, I know you needed someone who can score and run that new age of offense. As much as I hate to say it, Tennessee's offensive coordinator, Ryan Golish, would fit actually in that moment. They run an offense that they like. They run an offense they like to score a lot. He's just never been a head coach.
Mm-hmm.
So you have a guy who's never been a head coach, and you have a guy strictly that has been a head coach. So he could possibly be mine. Tom Herman was mine. Scott definitely took this one for me. Out of all the freaking coaches available, I was like, Tom Herman's the perfect guy for Cincinnati. He's an Ohio guy. He fits right in into that. There's other Ohio guys. I listen.
Oh, Ryan wants Brian Hartline in Cincy.
Brian Hartline would work too.
But he wants to get rid of him from Ohio State so he can stop recruiting receivers.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll tell you what, the problem might be not recruiting any defensive linemen at this point.
Yeah. Yeah. That was a good one. I like that one. I'm gonna go ahead and give you that round, Scott. So Scott took the first round of the face-off. In the chat, let us know. Also, please share this, guys. The more people in the chat, the better this gets for Scott and I. So share on your Facebook streams, share on everything like that. We'd love to see this thing get up to at least 10 people. That'll be fun. We're at 5 right now, stealing all of our PA receivers. Mike Leach to Cincy. Candace, that's not a bad one, but he's crazy. So I don't know. Crazy.
Yeah, so is Cincy. They put like chili on pasta.
Chili on their spaghetti.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. All right, so our next question provided by Christian Martin is another good one. It is, which university is the best fit for Coach Prime? Now, there are a few university openings right now. I am going to lead off on this one.
So it can't be stolen.
Are we doing openings still or at the beginning of the openings?
I mean, we can go beginning of the opening because you can say a team made mistake.
Yeah. I feel like Georgia Tech made the mistake.
Mm-hmm.
That's mine. I feel like, so if you go back with me here, just go back way back in the time machine. Who did Prime start with? Atlanta. Mm-hmm. Who did he play baseball for? Atlanta. Atlanta loves Prime.
Mm-hmm.
They've always loved Prime. And it was they drafted him, and he was a part of that Atlanta community. And when it comes to recruiting, Prime's already recruiting the state of Georgia.
Yeah,
he's already doing a phenomenal job for the state of Georgia. So I like Prime as Georgia Tech. It's a perfect fit for him. It's just enough. It's a level up from the FCS of Jackson State. Probably Jackson State players will go with him.
Mm-hmm.
Georgia Tech, if they can get in. No offense or anything like that. Just Georgia Tech's a higher ranking university.
Mm-hmm.
He can recruit the state. He doesn't have to go a lot outside the state. He's going to get kids from across the nation to come there. Because Atlanta is, you know where Georgia Tech is. It's in the heart of Atlanta. It's a really cool campus. It's a really cool place. It's got a ton of history. And they would honestly, him walking in, they need to upgrade their facilities big time.
Mm-hmm.
So they would upgrade their facilities at Georgia Tech. it makes no sense. It does make sense why Georgia Tech's where they're at, because they ran the freaking triple option for so many years. But they can. I just feel like he could. If you walk, so like right now, if Prime was the head coach of Georgia Tech, and this is before the 2023 class, 24 class is, let's say 24 class, and a kid quarterback who's from Macon, Georgia, been committed to Georgia for the last 2 years. You're gonna take a meeting with Prime.
Yep.
Like just out of just his brand recognition and his name. Yeah, come to the house. We'll take a meeting. Come meet my mama.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what he does. His brand sells itself.
Yep.
So that's where my fits on that one. And you don't gotta win 9 to 10 games a year at Georgia Tech.
Mm-hmm.
So the level of like standard is get us to a bowl game and let's be competitive. I want to be competitive in our games. So that's my argument on Prime. I could probably go deeper in that one. I think Georgia Tech is the right fit for Coach Prime. I think it was very stupid of them to hire their interim coach.
Mm-hmm.
He's not Coach O. This guy's never been head coach before. Coach O is an interim. He's the interim of all interims.
Yeah.
Like, but he's coached before. I just guy that they hired. Who? If I'm a lineman and you come to my school, I'm like, who are you? I don't know who you are.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what? There's no brand there. So
yeah.
I mean,
So for me, I think Coach Prime's perfect fit is where it will be announced that he is becoming the head coach, and that is at the University of South Florida. Being a Florida kid, Dion, it's not far from home where Dion is from. I think USF is a beautiful place to be. It's a beautiful campus down there in Tampa. I know they play at Ray J. The facilities there for Prime, I think it would be great. I know UCF is leaving the conference very soon. So, like, it sucks the UCF-USF rivalry. But look at all those kids that he can recruit in the backyard in Tampa. There's a lot of good schools up there. And he can, recruiting in state, recruiting around the hometown, he'll be able to poach guys from UCF. You can get the guys from Miami to come up to Tampa. You can steal some guys from FSU. You know how that would be so great for Dion. Like, that's what he wants to do. And I think that like you were saying, the expectation at Georgia Tech isn't much. Like, there is no expectation at USF. Like, if you bring them to 6-6, I think USF builds him a statue and at the on the captain of the pirate ship, like at Ray J, will be Dion, like up there just steering the ship. Like that's the USF expectation.
That is
they have Alabama on their schedule coming up, I believe. USF has home and home with Bama, I believe, coming up. So you know how sick that would be? Like game day game, USF, Alabama, like
that would be pretty
Get Prime.
That's pretty good. I like that one. Chat, Ryan says you get those Florida connections too before moving to Florida State. It would be honestly the springboard to Florida State if the Norval thing doesn't end up.
What are the chances he gets Hunter to Portal with him? I think pretty high. Like that's his guy. They're probably a package deal.
He only went there because Barstool gave him $1 million.
Yeah.
Just so they could mess with people. That's the only reason why.
I don't think that Colorado is Prime is a warm weather guy. Like, don't put him in Colorado. He will be miserable.
Yeah, he'll be miserable. It's funny that we mentioned all three schools all have gold in them.
It's very true.
And he played Florida State with a little gold. Yeah, I'm just.
I don't know. Prime gold.
Prime gold, baby.
Something.
Chat. Who won? Let us know in the chat. Let us know in the chat. I want to know who Private Tech or Private USF, or is it a tie? Oh, Christian said Arizona State.
Arizona State, ASU. No, you don't want Prime to be at ASU with those gals. They get him in trouble.
It's too hot for him. Christian says Nate. Nate won.
Nate wins. All right.
All right. So it's tied 1-1. I thought your argument was good.
Yeah.
Yep. So
USF, baby.
But you took the Tom Herman one for me, so.
So we both won that one.
Yeah. All right, next one is USC back to being elite? Is USC back to being elite? Here is the debate. You or me?
I'll take this one first, so because you did last one, and we'll just switch off. Okay. I'm going to say no. I think that USC was going to be a problem for everyone last year, but they have been expedited this year to being a problem and being a contender for the playoffs. But like Ryan just said, their defense is very suspect. And then what we were just talking about a little bit ago, they avoided the two best teams in the Pac-12, like against Oregon and Washington. They didn't get to play either one of them. So if you look at their schedule like this year, they have a Heisman candidate quarterback, Caleb Williams, and they have played very, very well. But they did lose to Utah, even though there was a little bit of an anomaly with how Utah won it. But you're going to tell me that like the rest of their schedule this year, if they end up going up against Georgia and they, get embarrassed in the playoffs, like I think everyone's going to be like, hey, I told you so. Because looking at what USC's done on the schedule, it's not very impressive on the whole defensive part of it. Stanford scored 28 points on them. They squeaked out a win against Oregon State. Arizona, 45-37 win. Gave up 35 points to Cal. 48-45 win against UCLA. God, there was like 2,500 yards of total offense in that game. Like, there's just no defense involved. So being as an elite overall team, no, they have an elite player on offense in their quarterback.
Okay. That's not bad. This is my argument for USC. USC, even during the Pete Carroll years, scored a lot. Their defense had Ray Maluga. They had just studs everywhere, but they still gave up points because it's the Pac-12.
Mm-hmm.
I think they are elite. I think Lincoln Riley came there with the same exact offense, the same exact approach, took the quarterback that he needed, and he said, everybody here, because there's one thing California has, and it's got plenty of offensive weapons.
Mm-hmm.
And there's nothing but big, good Samoan offensive linemen. And USC, he was able to take what they had, bring in transfer portal guys to solidify, to secure that offense in year one. This is what they've done in year one.
Mm-hmm.
They're a top 5 offense in year one. Yes, Jordan Addison, and you got Caleb Williams, and their running back, forgot his name, he's phenomenal. He's doing the right way. Their schedule, they played everybody on their schedule. You read it out. They gave up points, but they never, ever. I'm pretty sure they never were down in any of those games that you mentioned.
I think maybe the UCLA game.
I think they were down 14-0 in that one.
Was it 14-0 that they were down?
I think it was, or 10 or something.
Yeah, they were down 14-0 in that game.
Thank you. Yeah, first quarter 14-0. But that was honestly the first besides losing to Utah by 1, and it was in Utah, right? Utah plays slobber knocker football. That's one thing I can give them.
Yeah,
they're gonna run it and they're gonna try to beat you senseless. Ken Risen has been a letdown this year, honestly, compared to last year. Thought he was going to come in and be a Heisman hopeful this year, but they're still good. Utah's going this weekend. Utah is going at a neutral site field. They're going to bring it, and they're not going to quit. They just had that dog in them, right? And Southern Cal went to their place, lost by 1. So they've been hit in the face. They know what it feels like. And they played their in-city rival, UCLA, year 5 of Chip Kelly. Right? Best year they've ever had in a long time. The quarterback's on their 19th year there. And this is a downhill power running game team. They were able to they were able to defensively stop UCLA from throwing and running the ball. That was big for me. Because, yeah, everybody throws the ball and whatever. But they couldn't – they stopped the running game, and that's massive because that proved to me that their offense can score on anybody. I trust Lincoln Riley in any game. Any game as an offensive coach.
Yep.
I trust him. He's proven that since he was at Oklahoma – and now it's the same thing. He can make mud look delectable when it comes to it. He's going to sell it to me. Like, that's what he does. So with USC being, to me, number 4 now in the nation, and that's a huge market. And you can tell right now, USC, the Coliseum is going to be sold out. There's going to be a sold out Las Vegas crowd for that game. And next year, their season ticket holders, they're going to have all the games. They're going to be sold out. The celebrities are back at the games. That place, when it's on fire, you got celebrities everywhere because it's the team of the town.
Yep.
Like, not the Rams, not the Chargers.
Keyshawn has been acting a fool with USC on the morning show. So.
Oh, Keyshawn talking that.
Yeah, he talking like they elite. So.
Like they elite. But Keyshawn can back it up because they literally only lost 1 game by 1 point.
Yeah.
On the road. I say this. I say they are elite. I put my money down on them. I put my money where my mouth is. If they win this, I'm saying they're elite and they're going to beat Utah in a really good game and Las Vegas for the Pac-12 championship. Here's the question. They got to play Georgia week 1 in the Peach Bowl in Atlanta. I just don't think they're getting past that, which is good because they got to the point where they need to be. They're going to recruit. They're already recruiting at a high level. Like a high level, and they haven't been winning. So they've been recruiting at a high level without even winning. Tells you they are getting to that eliteness. And then on top of that, they're going to bring in transfers, like a ton of them. Because if you tell me, if I'm a lineman or defensive lineman, and I'm in the Big Ten, and I'm a graduate, and I got 1 more year left, you can tell me I can play in the sun and start. Hell yeah, I'm transferring over there. Or anything like that. So that's what I'm on there. Chat, let us know. We got, is USC elite? I say they are. My argument just went down. Scott had a really good argument on their end as well. So who won that one in the chat? I know we're at a tie still. Christian said he's got a good question. If we have a tiebreaker, there is a good question for him. He says he's got one. I'm really interested in this question. So talking about Trayvon.
Yeah, Travion Henderson.
Yes, the running back.
USC.
Yeah. The best recruitment tool is that I get to live in Cali. They get to, yeah. I mean, the campus is in Inglewood. It's not the best. Yeah. All right.
Well, I believe there's one more debate topic, though, right?
I think so. I thought there was. I don't know where it went. What was the question?
It was about a certain seat. getting hot.
Oh yes, the next one. So yeah, I think I deleted it by accident. So the next big topic is Ryan Day's seat getting hot. I'll go. I say Ryan Day's seat is not getting hot. It's getting prepped to get hot, but it's not hot yet, and it's not warm. It's that beginning of the stages where you're building the fire and you're like making it all nice and like when you're a Boy Scout and you have to like blow on it and you're rubbing the sticks. The friction's there. They're rubbing the sticks, but there's no heat yet. So I don't think he's done such a good job of taking over that program. He's still recruiting at a high level. He's still bringing in quarterbacks and developing them. He's got an offense defense that's really good. I just feel like he has to get a little bit tougher. I don't know. I don't think it's seat hot. I think it's an overreaction. Because Jim Harbaugh's a different coach. He's a different guy. You know what I'm saying? Like we're comparing apples to oranges. They're both good coaches, but one's like, I'm gonna wear cleats and go to the cathedral because I'm weird. But then you got the other guy who just smiles all the time. He's just a good guy you want to hang out with. So I don't think he's hot. He's done so much for that program since he took over from Urban Meyer. Did they win a national championship? No, it was the year they couldn't, right?
No, they were eligible, but they lost it to Alabama in the title game.
That's right. He's been to title games. You don't. What's his overall record in like his career?
45-5.
Why are you talking about this?
Here's the thing.
Michigan 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
Okay. Beat him next year. At Michigan, it'll be sweet. And I think he's going to the next 360 something days. He's gonna be telling his players, "You're soft. Toughen up."
But what happens if you don't win that game?
We're not there yet.
But you have to have that conversation.
What's their schedule next year?
It's what Michigan's schedule was this year. Your toughest game is on the road in South Bend. You go to Notre Dame week 4.
That'll be a better Notre Dame team. We've already established.
It will.
Ugly, but they should be pretty good next year. Mm. They should be ranked at week 4. That's a tough game because Notre Dame's going to slap them in the mouth. Mm-hmm. They're going to play some big boy football. That's a good thing.
It is. But the thing is, the seat has to get hot. The seat has to be hot for Ryan Day. There has to be pressure applied so he can apply pressure to his players and his coaching staff that the standard that we've had the past 2 years is not up to par and it's unacceptable. When you are hired at Ohio State, 95% of the wins 95% of your games are guaranteed wins. It's Rutgers, it's Illinois, it's Indiana, it's Purdue. Like the only games that aren't a given to you are Michigan, Penn State, and Wisconsin. Those are the games that you're paid to win. You're paid to win Big Ten titles. You're paid to go to the college football playoffs. You're paid to win national championships. If your seat isn't hot for Ryan Day right now, it's a failure on the program of Ohio State because we are now lowering our standards. I'm not saying to fire Ryan Day right now. I'm just saying that we need to have a legitimate conversation next year because if he doesn't win that game next year and you lose 3 years in a row, I don't care if he's 55-6. Unfortunately, half of your losses are against Michigan. You have one loss against Oregon, and you have a loss to Clemson and Alabama, one in the semifinals of the playoffs, and then the college football title game. Yes, it kind of sucks. And Ryan makes a good point with the first-year defense. It did take some strides, and Jim Knowles' defenses are known to taking place in year 2 and year 3, but that Ryan Day has to do a better job at recruiting guys on the back end and in that interior D line room, because we haven't had a Nick Bosa, we haven't had a Joey Bosa, we haven't had one of those guys, we haven't had Denzel Ward out there in the last couple of years. So you can say his recruiting has fallen off, or it could be the lack of development that's going on inside that building right now, because Urban Meyer recruited those guys, but he turned, Joey Bosa into a first-round pick. He turned Michael Thomas into a second-round pick. He turned Ezekiel Elliott into a first-round pick. You can go down the names of the defense, Marshawn Lattimore, Bradley Roby. You can go all these defensive players that developed under Urban Meyer. What have we gotten out of Zach Harrison? What have we gotten out of guys that are high defensive players coming out of their class? Even guys like Julian Fleming haven't developed at a level. Marvin Harrison Jr., his dad is a Hall of Famer. The production level that we need to be at has really dropped off, besides quarterback and wide receiver room, since Urban Meyer's been gone. So I think that there has to be pressure applied to be better next year.
I think there's pressure already there. It's always been there.
But they quit, like you said it earlier, they quit on that team, and that team quitting showed lack of mental toughness.
I think that's just because of schedule, complacency, right? I don't think he's hot. I don't think you should have a 45-5 coach on a hot seat or warm seat at all, just because the schedule. Like, how is he supposed to know in October, when the schedule came out in September, when they're playing November, that his team was going to get soft and punched in the face and not have anything to rebuttal? It's not his fault that the Big Ten West teams that they played sucked. It's not his fault that everybody else under Michigan and Michigan State's not supposed to suck. Like, that's normally notoriously, like, that's a tough game you guys play every year. Like, home or away, like, Michigan State is always, like, bam, in your face. Like, they always play you guys hard. They're just bad this year. Like, Rutgers is Rutgers. Like, Maryland's Maryland. Like, you get what you get. But I just, like, in my head, I'm like, you should not. I just don't think it's hot. I think it's a cultural thing. And they have the talent. They do it. Like, I know you not have Joey Bosa's or whatever, and no more AJ Hawks and stuff like that. But, like, those guys are still 5-star, 4-star guys. Like, you don't have Raquan McKillen, who's actually from Savannah. Like, that dude was a beast. But I think at the end of the day, it's an aggressiveness. Like, we talked about, like, Florida State. Why is Florida State winning these games? Their offense is fine. Their defense is just aggressive as hell. And it has to do everything with just game plan, playing aggressive, playing on the balls of your feet, playing downhill, and just lighting people up. Like, if they could play like they did against Penn State in the fourth quarter all year, they would be hurting people, body bagging people. And that was the difference in the Michigan game. They needed to body bag people. And I feel like he knows that, they know that, and they're going to go into next season. I look at the schedule, all right? Youngstown State, Indiana, at Indiana, that's a win. Youngstown State, that's a win. Western Kentucky, that's a win. At Notre Dame, if you can go at Notre Dame with a better Notre Dame team for next year and beat them in South Bend and do it with, like, easily, not like, oh, we won with a field goal at the end. Like, you pretty much beat the crap out of them from the beginning of the game, like slobber knock them. That's a big, because that's going to be on NBC or ABC game or something like that. People are going to watch it. And then if you do win that game and show, like, grit and might, you go to Purdue. At Purdue, it's never easy to win in West Lafayette, but they're replacing the entire team. So that's my opinion on that one. You beat the crap out of Purdue at Purdue, and then hold on, the schedule went away. Then you play at home at Penn State and in front of your crowd again. That's going to be a really good Penn State team.
Mm-hmm.
And
Drew Allen.
oh yeah, like that's going to be probably an undefeated Penn State team.
Yep.
At home, game day might be there. That's where you show. Hey, this ain't your same Ohio State defense. This ain't your same offensive line. We're aggressive, and we're going to put it on you.
Mm-hmm.
That's where it's at. If they don't show any of that by that game, they're going to lose at Wisconsin with Luke Fickell. It's hard to beat Wisconsin in Madison. So if they're playing soft ass offense, soft ass defense again, that Wisconsin game is going to light them up.
Yep.
And you're already talking about halfway through the season already, so everybody already has their game plans. They already know what their depth chart looks like. It's just put the football down and let's play. And then you end the season at Rutgers to beat Rutgers. At Michigan State, you don't know what it's a home game. So Minnesota, that's a win. And then at Michigan. So there are tests along. That's a good schedule. Better than this year's.
Mm-hmm.
Where you do
a lot of home games this year.
Yeah, a lot of home games this year. Next year, road tested. Let's see what they can do. I personally feel that they're going to get road tested a lot. And if they can come out and do what they need to do, they're going to obviously skill set and depth chart alone. They're going to do what they need to do. And then going into Michigan next year, you've already had 2 hard road games. So we'll see. I just don't think the seat's hot. That's just my opinion on Ryan Day.
Yeah.
Chat, who won? I know with 4 good questions. It might have been a tie. Both guys had really good answers to these things. So, guys, it's been an hour and 41 minutes. It's been fun. I've had a good time. Scott won the debate. And Ty.
Ty, last question. Oh my god.
Christian just wants the last question. All right, Christian. What is our last question?
It's gonna be like, is a hot dog a sandwich?
Yeah, it's gonna be something stupid. Or is it a straw? Which was so gross.
Yeah, that was.
I'm gonna lower the. You both are winners. Thanks, Candace.
Yeah, thank you.
They lowered that volume off the thing.
What's the best cookie to have on Christmas Day?
Ooh. Yeah. You should be our show writer. All these great questions. Best cookie question. Are the last question of the debate. Tied right now. What's the best cookie to have on Christmas Day?
I do have my answer.
I can tell you what you shouldn't have on Christmas Day. And it's those nasty, dusty, freaking icing on top cookies.
the sugar cookies.
Sugar cookies. And straight ass. And if anybody likes those, they need to get out of your life.
They're not terrible, but they're not. I do need some milk with it.
Yeah, you're.
Yeah, sound like me now after being sick.
Christmas Day cookie for me. I'm gonna go. Here we go. Warm, about this big, not like thick like Gideon's cookies, but like a good regular cookie. Homemade, batch of cookies, hint of nutmeg, hint of cinnamon, brown sugar. Big, thick, like the big, like thick chocolate chips. Not the little ones, but the big, thick ones. With peppermint.
Ooh.
Yeah. Little peppermint pieces. That little mint, chocolate, hint of nutmeg, hint of little brown sugar. Oh, that would be phenomenal on Christmas Day. Actually, I might make that now.
To me, the best cookie to have around Christmas time in general, but even better on Christmas Day, is that circular peanut butter cookie with that Hershey's Kiss in the middle. Just there's just not a better cookie in the world. Like you bite into that peanut butter cookie and like you get a little bit of that Hershey Kiss. The Hershey Kiss center with the peanut butter cookie.
That sounds good.
Chef's kiss.
That sounds really good. I don't know. Who do you think? Who's the winner, peppermint cookie or peanut butter cookie?
Peanut butter Hershey Kiss.
Nate's making it on the fly. So Scott went with nostalgia. Who wins? Who wins?
Christian Cookie.
Christian, who wins?
Monster. Cookie Monster gotta choose.
Let us know, Christian. Ryan, somebody.
Peanut butter cookies win.
Ew, I call ew, yeah. He's not cultured. Get out of here with that bull crap. All right, Scott, you won the debate. You won the versus, the face-off. Congratulations, big dog. All right, guys. Let's wrap up our show. We are probably going to have to do a preview of the championship games later this week. Might just be a recorded, won't be a live thing. Continue to like, subscribe, and follow our pod. This will come out tomorrow on our podcast, on our Spotify and Apple. Share with a friend. Continue to let everyone know. Hey, do you want to know the greatest college football show out there? It's not that stuff on ESPN or Fox. It's my friends. Let them know what we're doing here, and we love it. We love it. One day I'm going to make a root beer cookie. That sounds pretty good.
Interesting.
That does sound good, actually. Christian, Candace, Ryan, everybody who joined in. Jake, we love you. We miss you. You'll be back on soon. I mean, FPI Killer, that is your name. We'll talk all of our picks against the slates and our picks of the week. We'll have our porch plays and our porch picks. And then we'll slowly transition into bowl season. Our pick'em is actually live. You can either find it, get it on our pick'em, guys. It's going to be fun. And then you just stay with us because it's only the beginning. Scott, it's awesome to hang out with you. Missed you, bud. I'm glad you had a good trip.
Yes,
and I will be seeing you later.
All right. Sounds like a plan.
All right. Bye, guys.
Later.
Talk to you guys later. And go Vols. OHIO. And I'm going to turn up the music, and we are out.